Morning. I have no idea how to say what I want to say this morning. Oh. And I have the sense that it could be possibly unpopular. Oh, very strange position. I fell in love with Jack Kerouac's Golden Eternity, I don't know, a few decades ago. I don't know if any of you have ever read it, but I mean, I love it. I love it so much. And I didn't bring it, but it was sort of occurring to me, and then I like popped awake this morning. I was like, oh no, there's a piece of it in this book that was down on the library table, so I get to read a little piece of it. Just a snippet. Give a gift to your brother or sister, but there's no gift to compare with the assurance that he or she is the golden eternity. The true understanding of this would bring tears to your eyes. The other shore is right here. You know, we have to be really sincere about what we're orbiting around, about what amalgamation of thought, belief, emotion, idea, belief mostly, is in the center. So if there's a belief of, I'm missing something, something is missing, fundamentally missing. Something is missing. Something is not good enough. Something is not here. I deserve something, which implies that there is deserving and undeserving. Then there will always exist this problem that supposedly needs to be solved at the center of being. It will always exist. If there is a belief in a problem, then there will be a problem to solve. And that belief shores up, it shores up the separate sense. Do we see that? It shores it up, it gives it fuel. It continues it. And I don't think this is, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't think this is like very popular to say in this time because I'm working on something, I'm honoring my feelings, I'm dealing, I'm not against any of it. I hope it's not coming across that way. It's just not what I'm trying, and maybe not very well, to speak about. Where the life is empty of that. It's empty of it. It's empty of all of that. And it isn't far or distant. It can't be achieved. It can't be acquired. It can't be rewarded or deserved, because it is. It really literally would be like telling water, yeah, you deserve to be wet. You do. The other shore is right here. It's right here. It may be appearing as something that is uncomfortable to a nervous system that has been accustomed and habituated to efforting. and solving and fixing and trying. If we have these beliefs at the center and we're orbiting around them as a self, a personal self, then reality, the golden eternity, it's obscured, it's mediated, it's covered, it's mediated with that contraction at the center, that something is missing. I don't have what I need. I'm not what I need. I'm not. This is not to say that there will be times when something comes into consciousness, experience, that must be met. Yes, of course, but what is it met? How is it met? With whom is it meeting? Salud. If we think about it, it seems like it would be the easiest thing to let go of. Like, well, why wouldn't I want to let go of that? This core of missing something, not good enough. Why wouldn't I want to let go of that? But boy, oh boy, when it gets right down to that, what do they say? The struggle is real. Because that feels like reality. It's the habit. We have lost the habit of abiding as pure consciousness. We have lost the habit of abiding as pure awareness. We have lost the habit of abiding as who we are, what everything is. We've become accustomed deeply, cellularly, to a personal feeling of a separate self at the center. And that is always going to feel lacking, because it is apparently, to the experience, cut off from everything else. Not only the unified wholeness of existence, but source itself. That which animates. The wish-fulfilling jewel, as the Tibetans call it. And there is a tendency to, it's not a failure, it's not something we need to be ashamed of. Just become awake to, that's all. Become awakened to it. There is a tendency to even as we have spiritual realizations and more true understanding beyond intellectual knowing, direct understanding, even as that begins to unfold, then those realizations can be very quickly and easily co-opted by that amalgamation, that process of belief in the center. So It happens. It happens very quickly, kind of unknowingly, habitually, conditionedly. This belief system, and I like that word because it is kind of a system there at the center. It's like a system of belief and thought and emotion, and it just fuels itself, and it has taken the front and center stage. It has taken, it is the false idol. It is truly the false idol. And it gets really strengthened, honestly, a lot of the time with I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If I'm offending anybody's stuff, just come talk to me later. It gets strengthened by all the new agey stuff. That whole system at the center gets really fueled by it. It's just it's the same old thing in a really glamorous, new, shiny robe. It's something you can get. And if it's something you can get, it's not it. The other shore is right here. If it's something you can get, it's not it. It may feel like we're getting something. I'm not. Everything I say, I could say the opposite. Oh. I remember one time at a retreat, somebody called Adya out on that, and he was like, I mean, sometimes Adya could be, and with those just, I mean, the eyes of eternity, I contain multitudes. Okay. Because it is paradoxical. And that's another reason that it feels very uncomfortable. Because if there's still this referencing system at the center, it's going to want very strongly to say it's this or that, because that's its function. That's its function. That's its function. That's its function. It's not a failing. It's not a tragedy. It's not evil. It's the function of a look both ways before you cross the street. But it isn't the tool for discerning essence. It can't discern essence. It's not for that. A screwdriver doesn't hammer a nail. It's not a failing. It just isn't, it's just not the tool for the job. It's not the function in consciousness for discernment. So if we're always referencing that conceptual belief system at the center that has somehow or another acquired a sense of selfhood. I really don't know how it did, but it apparently has, and it's wreaking havoc all over the world and within each of our own hearts. the giving up that personal sense, the sense of I have, I do. I don't know if you watch 30 Rock, but I am the decider. Giving that up, surrendering, relinquishing, however you want to look at it, laying it down, is the greatest gift. It's the greatest gift. It's the greatest gift. As Sharon always says, it's what you've always wanted. And it isn't a cakewalk. Is that an old-fashioned term? Do you know what that means? Okay. Because when it gets right down to it, it feels like death. And we have to make peace with that. And most of us, I know there's another hospice nurse in the audience, that have really put death out on in the doghouse in the back 40. Like, no, 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 no. You know, that's not for me. I'll think about that at another point. You know, and then we wait until we're like, 80, 90, whatever it is, or have a health crisis, or get kind of blindsided by a loved one's passing. All of the apparent opposites, including existence, non-existence, including that, resolve in wholeness. They resolve. They resolve in wholeness. They are not at all opposite. They don't really even exist. Everything is a continuation, arising, abiding, and falling away, other than primordial awareness, which is never coming or going, and is the ground of our being, and is spontaneously present, undeservingly here, always, and is in action, if you can call it that, as love, as love, as love, expressing itself endlessly. You want problems? There's nothing personal about it. There's not like a God up in the sky rewarding or punishing or, well, you said you wanted that, or, no. It's like, it is impersonal. It's unconditional. It's the wish-fulfilling jewel. So if problems are the dream of the day, then problems are the dream of the day. Do we understand what kind of responsibility that is? Not for an ego to play around with in co-creation. It's a, thy will be done. How will this be used to serve today? In whatever situation is met, whatever circumstances encountered. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So even good and bad is surrendered. Now, if there, oh boy, I'm learning so much teaching with Ani at the temple. If an ego structure hears, well, there's really no good or bad, I just get what I want. Well, then what do we have? You know? And that's why in all spiritually based paths, there have always been written in, yamas and niyamas, 10 commandments, whatever they are, into the spiritual path for the maturing individual separate self that still needs laws and morals and all of that stuff, because it does. It needs to try to be a better person. It needs that. But at a certain ripening, at a certain unfolding, where that center is empty of personal referencing, personal selfing, then that is no longer a system of good and bad. It doesn't even make any sense. And yet, if it sees itself always and already everywhere as that, which it is, the response is by itself, through itself, for itself, as itself. And it generally won't look like what the mind's and the personal self's idea of it should have been. You know what I mean? In the Asian temples, I can remember traveling through Thailand. On the temples, especially at the front door, the beings that they are calling in there are fierce. They're like this, kind of like, to all who enter here. In the Western world, we think niceness is compassion. That was one of the most mind-boggling, heart-boggling, disorienting phases here. I don't know if it is for you or has been or will be. I don't know, but we have really equated niceness with a lot of things. Spirituality, compassion. And if we hear, oh, I don't even have to be nice, then we're missing the point. of what I'm trying to say. It becomes irrelevant, disinteresting, because the compassion that is natural, naturally is. It's ising everywhere. The other shore is right here. Is not interested. There's no interest in all that other stuff that is part of the play of opposites and judgment and all of that. It's just not interested. There's nobody there to be like, give me that. Don't give me that. It is what it is, and there's a beyond, so beyond anything I could ever say, so far beyond imagination, so far beyond anything any one of us could ever say. There is a ripe, roaring, silently still potential at the heart of being that doesn't need our help. Doesn't need anything other than a vessel of expression that is unmediated and unobscured by this is me. Good news, the enjoyment of the individuation is beyond imagination. Absolutely beyond imagination. Because it's self, capital S, enjoying self. And all of the something's missing, something's not here, not good, can't be right. It's not, it fades. It's not even like, I mean, at a certain point, surrender is really key, but it's not like that after a while. It's beyond even that. We can't go wrong. I'm not trying to shame any kind of ego structure. In every moment, the other shore is right here. If it's appearing as doubt, fear, pissed off, rebellious, I don't know, bored, whatever it is, indignant, that was a favorite here. A lot of indignation, a lot of Irish temper. That too is just the ripe, roaring potentiality of all that is, like a blast furnace. And that which is completely unmoved, unborn, unchanged, timeless, providing. Do we stop to think about where this moment comes from? How it gets here? How existence actually is? And just as soon as one holy instant is done, here's the next. And it's unfettered. It's unfettered. It's not It's not hauling the past forward. Oh my God. Go ahead. I mean, you can blame it on me. Give it up. If it turns out to not be, you know, I don't know. It's fresh of all of that, but we can't see it. We can't feel it underneath all that load. When all of that is removed, talk about golden eternity. Shining. Shining. You. Shining. You. Not an ordinary, oh, I have a little flashlight. A million suns. I called it Crystal Diamond World. I had to stay home. I could not go anywhere. It had to mellow out. It had to settle down. I could not navigate Crystal Diamond World. Shining prism, rainbow glory. You. Nothing's missing. Can't be achieved. You can feel that way, and that's not bad. It's not a failure. It is the door. It's just not true. So find out if it's really true. Find out if it's really believable. Is it real? Or is it just something that has become so accustomed? So like the paint on the walls that we're just, I guess that's the way it is. Look into it. Can I be anything other than that which is giving this experience life? Can this I, this me, be anything other than that? And what is that? Change the room in your mind for a day. Change the room in the mind for a day. Recognize I've spent a lot of time in that other room, blaming, shaming, feeling like something's missing, that I'm not, whatever the current and habitual conditioning of self-regard is in your own personal psyche. And just step out of that room for a day. Just say, I'll get back to you. I'm not sure about that. I'll get back to you. I'm not sure about that. Just gonna look, just change my perspective just a tiny bit here. And come deeply into the body and sense that aliveness. That undeniable and unknowable presence that is right here, right now, that we just don't pay any attention to because it's ubiquitous. It's space. We're not paying attention to the space, we're paying attention to the objects in the space. But without the space, awareness is like that. And in our heart of hearts, we know this. In our heart of hearts, we know this. And this is why we feel unauthentic and separated from our true being, because we know it. in our heart, we know this. So when we feel that sense of falsity, or what was somebody calling it yesterday, impostering or something like that, look into it. Infuse it with reality and see what happens. Like magic. I called it the Teflon phase. Just literally couldn't grab anything, and nothing could grab me. There were no hooks anymore. All the hooks had been straightened. It was slightly disorienting. I needed a teacher. Luckily, fortunately, I have one. There was a piece of writing that came forward a long time ago, and I have it on a little card. I don't know if those little cards are out on the table, but maybe they could be. That I think says a little bit more poetically what I'm trying to say today. I think I'm going to end with this. Am I on time? I see you checking the time. I don't know. Oh, okay. I don't know what that means. But thank you. 10:30. Okay. So you've got 7 minutes. Thank you, people with a brain. I mean, full disclosure, I don't know if it's at all interesting. I mean, I don't really intend for this to be some kind of, somebody said something about the Jennifer Tyler show yesterday, and I was like, whoa, I hope not. But because it's really about turning inward. I mean, I can say what I say, but, you know, like we were talking about yesterday, the fragrance of the rose is not in the idea of it. It's in the rose itself, which is but yesterday here, well, I don't know how to speak about it, honestly. It might take a while. But a sense of a very massive chunk of positionality fell away. So it's an eternal unfolding. And if I could encourage anything looking back, I would say enjoy the phase you're in, enjoy it to the nth degree, because it's not going to last. And even if it feels like hell, it's going to come to an end, and then you're going to be like, oh no, where did it go? It was such a focus. It really kept me busy, man. There were so many phases that I just was like, oh, you know, I'm under this, you know. But now, in retrospect, I'm like, oh yeah, boy, did that have wisdom that I could have maybe listened deeper to and been a little bit more prepared for the next phase. So continuing with the Sufi theme, let's read Rumi. It's the Golden Eternity Rumi style. All through eternity, beauty unveils her exquisite form. In the solitude of nothingness, She holds a mirror to her face and beholds her own beauty. She is the knower and the known, the seer and the seen. No eye but hers has ever looked upon this universe. Her every quality finds an expression. Eternity becomes the verdant field of time and space. Love, the life-giving garden of this world. Every branch and leaf and fruit and expression reveals an aspect of her perfection. The cypress gives a hint of her majesty, the rose, tidings of her beauty. Whenever beauty looks, love is also there. Whenever beauty shows a rosy cheek, love lights her fire from that flame. When beauty dwells in the dark folds of night, love comes and finds a heart entangled. Beauty and love are as body and soul. They have been together since the beginning of time, side by side, step by step. I swear, since seeing your face, the whole world is fraud and fantasy. The garden is bewildered as to what is a leaf or a blossom. The distracted birds can't distinguish the birdseed from the snare. A house of love with no limits. A presence more beautiful than Venus or the moon. A beauty whose image fills the mirror of your heart. You whose day this is, make it beautiful. Take out the rainbow colors and make it beautiful.